Welcome, bike guys. Hey, today we're going to have a honest take a look at different types of tires and different styles, different types of carcasses and things like that. And what I have here in front of me is we're going to start at the front of the bike. And I want you to notice a couple of things. We're looking at a Shinko fat tire. It's a similar tire to the Golden tire and the High Point tire, and it's a much taller casing on here. And then in comparison is a standard motocross type tire here. And what a lot of people see when they see these tires standing side by side, they look the same height. But the reality of it is, on a motocross tire or an off-road tire, the tire doesn't ride on the top of the tread, except for on very hard ground or hard terrain. The tire actually rides on the casing. And this is true on the back tires as well. And I'll show that to you when we get to back tires. But people think that the height of the tire, when you look at them standing side by side, oh, those are the same size. Well, no, they're not, because the casings are considerably different size. So this one mounted on a wheel, this is about the shape it's going to be. And if you measure from here to the other side of the tire, from the casing to the casing, it's quite a bit smaller than this Shinko tire. I'm going to pinch this in with my hand so you can see what it'll look like. But the Shinko tire has a much taller profile. And so when you get out and you're riding in the rocks and the rough terrain, that larger diameter tire is not so much the overall size. It's not like it's going to be rubbing on your fender or anything to run a taller tire. What it does is it raises the casing up, and the casing is bigger. Now we're going to look at them side by side here. And when I pinch this together, you can see how much tire or taller it is from where the rim is to the center of the tire on the casing. This one here, when it's put on the bike, it's considerably shorter. Now, I didn't bring a measuring tool in just to show you the difference, but I can tell you that the handling difference is dramatic. We run a lot of these taller tires on our off-road bikes because they just give you more control. They give you a better ride and that sort of thing because the tire isn't banging along, you know, hitting the rim or having to have so much tire pressure in it. The bigger casings, you can run a lower tire pressure because the sidewalls can flex. And these, they don't flex as much. There's more sidewall on the taller tires here. So what we end up finding is there's several different brands. The first one that I tried that had this larger casing was, maybe 25 years ago. They used to have what was called a 325 tire, and it had a much larger casing in it. And I was riding a big bore Honda XR 600, and man, I was instantly changed on how it would react in the rocks and in the sand and stuff like that. It floated better, and it did that. Now they've improved this considerably over the years. Tires have changed and are changing year by year, considerably different. So the front tires, a lot of guys are just running a regular motocross tire and they're trying to run it off-road. And motocross is not off-road. And off-road is not necessarily motocross. So what the motocross guys are trying to do is they're trying to keep the tire from flexing and just ride on the casing and using the knobbies to dig into the tire. And the off-road guys are trying to roll over the obstacles, not dig into them for the most part. And so the larger diameter makes a large difference in how the front tire handles. You'd feel the difference instantly if we put one tire on, then you try the other one out on a trail. It's absolutely amazing. So we are recommending the taller front tires for most applications. The bigger your bike is, the more difference it makes. So if you're riding an open class off-road bike, a 450, a 500, maybe even a 300, the taller tires make a big difference in the way the bike handles. You'll find it better in the rocks, you'll find it better in the sand, in the loose terrain and stuff like that. It'll stay afloat, and it's just a much better handling tire. And there are several brands available. We have here in the shop, we have the Shinkos, we have the High Points. I think I have a Metzler, and many of the companies are making these bigger tires now. So take a look at those and consider those when you go to buy a tire. Most guys just look at the tread pattern and, oh, I like that style, or I like this style, or whatever. But do a little information gathering on how the casings are built. And let me show you some others on some back tires and some differences that are there. Rubber here, but remember, it rides on the casing, and the tire tread makes a difference, and I'll show you this as we go along. The tire tread makes a difference, and here's just two different patterns. Now this tire is the Shinko 505. This is their intermediate tire, and you can see, I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, but the rubber is a little softer here, and the casing softer. If you can see inside the tire here, as I push them down, see the Metzler's stiff, and the 505 is much more flexible. And what you end up getting is a different type of traction. On these Metzlers, they're really made for running in the sand, thus the tall knobs, and giving you flat protection. That's the design there. Now the 505 that I have here, it's designed to be an all-around tire as well, but it's designed to flex. And if you look inside the tire here, can you see the tread pushing in? Okay, and if I roll it back and forth, you can see the tread is pushing in on the casing. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to get you to understand is the tire is riding on the casing. With the knobs closer on here, you don't get down on the casing as much. But you get the tire flex on the sidewall. And this is a better tire for hard enduro or that type of thing. It'll give you more traction at lower pressures because it'll be able to fold up over rocks and things like that, and it'll help you hang on to those edges. The downside of it is the tires wear fairly quickly. I mean, these are better than most, the 505, but because they have more rubber on the outside. And this will also affect the way the tire flexes. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is it's not just the tread pattern, but it's the casing design. The two tires here have completely different types of casings. And now we'll go to another type of tire. This is a new design, and it's a Shinko tire. This is the R520DC. They just came out, and if you look at this tire tread, you can see it's way open for soft terrain, sand, mud, that kind of thing. It has a softer rubber. Look how soft this rubber is. It's so soft, it'll really give you super traction on the rocks and things like that, but they do wear quickly. But this tire was designed for the hard enduro and the guy who rides extreme stuff. Now watch the casing on here. It's even more flexible. And what that'll do is it'll give you traction back and forth on the rocks, catching the edges and things like that, which is a really good tire if you're an extreme type rider. But I find the majority of riders want to get the most mileage out of the tire and the best traction that they can. And the knob pattern does make a difference, but the knob is not the total package when it comes to traction. The way the casing is designed has a lot to do with it. This is in a 120 size, so it's a big casing. And let me pinch this up here. So when you put it on the bike, all the wheels are about the same size, but you put it on the bike and it pinches up and it'll look like more like this on the bike without anything in it. Of course, it's all flared out. Now, I'll show you another design that I really have grown to appreciate. This is Sedona's new tire, and they just came out this year as well. And Sedona has made this tire into a radial tire. Radial tire is like your BF Goodrich tires on your truck and that sort of thing. Now, take a notice how tall these knobs are. They're just huge. And the casing is designed to flex, but what ends up happening is because of the radial design, it feels stiff. Now watch this as I flex on it. It doesn't move that much, does it? And this is, the other one is the matching front tire, and they should be run in pairs, by the way. Don't just put a radial on the back and a bias on the front. If you're gonna switch to radials, then do on both ends. Your bike will handle considerably better. All right. When you're ready.
Yep.
So when you're looking at the radial tires, they have a different design in the casing, and they're designed to run at a lower tire pressure. You can run these things as low as 6 pounds with tubes. I tend to like to run heavier tubes just for my own purposes, but a standard tube or that, or maybe even just a little bit better one would be good. But the tire is designed to flex, but it flexes different than the bias ply tire. They don't have to make the casings so soft to get them to flex because the radial design will allow it to flex. Now this is the other thing. I'm going to do you a little graphic design here. On a standard bias ply tire, you're really only hitting the ground about maybe this big, because that's just where the tire will hit. When you get it down on the casing, it's a little bit bigger. But what the radial tire does is it makes a longer oval pattern when it hits the ground. And then what that ends up doing is increases your traction, because you're not just catching 2 knob edges, you're catching 3 knob edges as it rolls. And the other thing of it is the radial tire, when it comes and it hits a sharp edge like this, it'll fold over it.
Here, go lower. Go lower with that.
It'll fold over that edge, and it gives it what they call, their term is the dead blow effect, like a dead blow hammer. And when it hits the tire or the obstacle, say there's a sharp rock there, it'll hit it and it'll roll over. Where the bias ply wants to hit it and bounce. So you get a smoother ride on the radial. And then with these large knobs on here, they wear really well. Now these are not soft, they're very firm knobs, particularly down the middle. And this is a true type of bias tread pattern. The inside is the hardest knob. These outsider ones are softer, and then the outside ones there are even softer. So you get the good side traction and you get the good straight traction, particularly in sand and rocks and things like that. You get all kinds of bites on it like that. I've been running these on the last couple of bikes. I've been really enjoying them. It's a different riding sensation when you first get on the bike, but you soon learn to trust it, and you'll find your side knobs, like cornering and stuff like that, is absolutely amazing. And then with these big tall knobs on here, you get really good traction everywhere else. So, and they're not terribly expensive. They're not any more money than your top of the line tires, but it's a whole different interior design. And when that tire's rolling along and flexing, it gives it more traction because of a larger pattern that's hitting the ground. So I hope I made that clear. Anyway, we'll have some more discussions coming up in the future on tires, and I can show you a few more designs. These are just some of my favorites, and I thought I'd drag them out and show them to you today. And if you have questions, give us a comment in the comment line. We love it when you subscribe, and we appreciate it when you like us too. So I'll give more information on tires as time goes by, and we'll take a look at different concepts and that from there. So keep it upright, enjoy your ride, and we'll talk to you soon.